Yu-Gi-Oh! Mint.com is now TradingCardMint.com. Please check out their selection of over 20,000 cards with prices cheaper than TCG Player.
Alright, we're finally going to be doing the current testing build that we have for Megacolony. Now, for those of you that were requesting the Gadora deck, we went through the concept. I didn't like it so much, kinda ended up scrapping it. So first off, I do want to say if you guys need anything, your trading card game needs are brought to you by our friends at TradingCardMint.com. Please check them out down below in the description on. Enter MCOL40 on checkout and save you guys yourselves a little bit of money. So I ended up scrubbing out of the main event. Unfortunately, this deck has a really tough Bermuda matchup, and there's nothing I can really do about that. Not having the second copy of Obatyrannus really hurts. So, woohoo, two-time Megacolony clan leader, Saturday and Sunday. Whew, nobody competing with me. So, for just kind of bring you guys up to date on the testing that I've done so far with this deck. So, we started off with the machining build with the 10k soldiers. I do kind of miss the 10k soldiers. They did a lot of pressure. Then we switched to the Gadora build, and then I decided to opt to go for the ARG list, the one that got 4th place at the event. I like some of the reasoning that I felt was behind the list, and I ended up not playing against my better judgment. I went against the second copy of Obatyrannus. And logically, I thought, you know, it's not a big deal, it's not going to come up. And then I started getting super into the 14 grade 3 Bermuda deck. And Obatyrannus just, it helps you out so much in that matchup. I didn't actually realize that until I needed the second copy of Obatyrannus when playing. It actually came up. So I definitely am going to go back to the second Obatyrannus. The thing I liked about the 4th place list from ARG was the 10 crits apply a lot of pressure. This deck is notoriously good for deck thinning itself. This deck is extremely good at pacing itself with speed. But you don't have a lot of finishers. This deck's strongest matchups rely within Luard, Kagero, decks that you can stun the Vanguard. Guise doesn't give a fuck. Guise will come in at rest and just be like, cool, I'm 30k base now, what do you do? You know, this deck can't climb the summits that I thought it could. Now, that's without saying that I think that this is still one of the best decks in the format. Unfortunately, if you play against, you know, the 14 grade 3 Bermuda deck, G-Guardians are not going to allow you to Zoa them, so Zoa's basically dead that matchup. So the only real thing that you can do is just kind of Obatyrannus, you know, kind of chop away at their hand. You know, the deck plays 4 Terua, it's not going to be a fun time. And then, you know, this deck just can't close out games unless it can Zoa. And against Guise OTT and against, you know, the 14 grade 3 Bermuda deck, there's not a lot you can do, but every other matchup, oh god, you fucking destroy them. So anyway, onwards and upwards. Shall we? We're playing 4 copies of Stag Beetle. God, I've always had a special place in my heart for machining. If you guys remember earlier in like, God, what was it, year or 2 years ago, I always talked about like I liked machining just for the way it was. And to see this deck come back again, like, it's just a personal favorite of mine. But they made this card not suck. I'm extremely happy. So 4 copies of him. Now, the ratios that were appropriate for this, it's just 3 and 3. I kind of want to go to 4 of this, but I like the 3 and the 3 because, and in this scenario, the Ultimate Stride becomes slightly better. Writing that extra grade 3 and expecting to be able to Ultimate Stride on the same name, like, you have to be able to physically see 3 copies of a card. So in the best case scenario, I have to see 3 of this. I have to write it the first turn to generate my advantage, rewrite it, and then be able to have another copy to Ultimate Stride. I mean, this deck doesn't have an issue getting to those fundamentals, but sometimes it can be damn hard, especially like if I have to rewrite this Ultimate Strike, I have to have the 3rd copy to call off of Zoa. So just slightly better grade 3 numbers. 10 is absolutely fine for the number. It's just I kind of want to mess around with the ratios a little bit. I kind of want to play 4th of this. This card sucks. Like, the 3/3 build is just to kind of make life easier for the Ultimate Striding. That's all it is. Now, with this version, you get 3 copies of this guy. Oh my god, this card. So this this card and this card. Now, my sad part about this is this asshole takes a counterblast. Your counterblasting in this deck is a pain in your ass. I had a lot of games to where, like, in order to pressure your opponent, you need counterblast. In order to draw cards off Overwhelm, you have to have counterblast. My problem here is it's becoming this. So, as I'm playing this deck, you want to apply pressure with this, but at the same time, in certain matchups, you need to draw cards. Not every matchup is going to be stun the opponent's Vanguard, and oh my god, if it actually was, like, it'd be amazing, but this deck has two distinct lines of play. You either draw cards and pressure your opponent, or you stun your opponent's Vanguard and pressure them. And trust me, you can't stun every single game. But you use this to give additional power. It was actually really nice being able to call this to a back row or call this off of Stag Beetle at rest. And then on the next turn, use it to grant another unit 3k power. Actually not too bad, but the restander part of this is what we care about. And as I said, this deck has zero shortage of grade 3 potential. This was my favorite ride of the weekend. The amount of people that thought they were cool by going to a 10k base, and I would just call this Counterblast 1 go to 15. Like, what the hell do you expect to be able to do? Like, cool. Would you like to 1 to pass my 15k? Like, I almost welcome it, actually. Like, but this is just... They made the support they gave machining to check grade 3 top is so fucking amazing. Now, one of the big changes I needed 4 copies of Phantom Black. I have found so much playing this deck that you need to be able to see this card. This is the card that closes out the game for you. I was down to 3 in some of the playtesting we were doing, but no, 4 copies all the way. Anything less, just, it doesn't work for me. Like, being able to paralyze the Jira decks is so fucking good. And then we have 4 copies of this. This is the best ride turn 1 you can ever have. You ride this to draw your card, swing. This is Vanguard Rearguard to check top 6. 95% of the time your opponent's going to let this hit. Like, I found myself going first with this way more than I actually should. This card is the actual cancer. How good this is. Like, I'm actually surprised. And then 2 copies of the Stride Fodder. Is it wrong? I would rather... I understand that you need these for Stride assisting. I miss the machining soldiers. 2 was fine of this. There was absolutely no reason to want 3. The 3 copies of Phantom Black was absolutely way more crucial. Perfect Guards, playing 2 copies of the machining, and 2 copies of Paralyzed Madonna. Since we are the machining variant, we do care more about the machining name. One of the important things I found this weekend was I drew this card way more than this card. I think this card got damage checked a lot. I kind of missed 4 draw triggers. Not saying a bad thing. The crit triggers that return to the deck seemed kind of bad. Also, random note, when this card leaves the Guardian Circle, so I'll charge 1. I think emoji. You know how many times I sacked a grade 3 off of this? Yeah, a lot. Triggers, 2 crits, 4, 5, 6 crits. Okay. And 4 copies of this. This is machining named. It's 5k. I understand why we play it. My problem here is, sure, this returns to the deck, but I never really found a scenario where I wanted to use this to stun something. It's almost just ended up being trigger value 95% of the time. It was nothing special. Like I say, I get why we play it, but would almost rather have 2 more of these instead. Just kind of my personal 2 cents. Heal triggers, 4 copies of these. I thought about doing a 2-2 split. No, that's a bad idea. You need that fucking countercharging. You need these. This card, oh my god, makes the world go round. And of course, the best fucking start you could ever actually have. Fucking on-ride draw card. So fucking good. Alright. Perfect markers. Alright, as I said with this deck, you have 2 skill trees you go down. You either stun the Vanguard, or you draw cards. Resource hogs, this guy, this is probably the predominant reason why you play the return to deck crits, because if you draw them off of this, it's fine. There was never a time where I wanted 3 overwhelms, amazingly. Is that weird to say? Like, 2 was fine. 2 copies of the Depot Man. This card was interesting in matches, actually. The stunning capabilities of this card are actually pretty good. 2 Cardfight. So this one is this card doesn't proceed to exceed my game state, so we fucking flip these guys. Like, if I want the guaranteed target, that's honestly why you play this. Outside of that, I mean, I like accelerating to GB8. So, 1 copy of Obatyrannus. I definitely want the second copy back. Having played this deck, yeah, you need it for the really weird matchups. 1 copy of Zoa, killing your opponent is good. Now, I did follow the logic of 2 of this. I have never been able to resolve 2 copies of this. Now, I believe the logic behind this was do this kind of as like a finisher and then the next turn punch them with it again. But it doesn't come up, unfortunately, as sad as that is. So I'm probably going to cut 1 for Obatyrannus to bring it back. This card is the nuts. The amount of people that will not rest a column and just be like, sure, to let me draw a card and get countercharging and soul charging. Oh my god, I thought this card sucked for the longest time. It's so good. Oh my god. And then 1 copy of this. I kind of want a second copy of this, Paralyze the Back Row, and Mixed Element Colburn. This card sucks. It's good against Bermuda, I feel, but that's about it. So, that's the current rendition of this deck. I definitely want the second Obatyrannus back. I got that much out of playing this weekend. Bermuda is a very hard matchup. Same thing with Gizeh. I find myself wanting to rush down Gizeh and not really care, but I don't think that's the correct thing. I mean, you can't Zoa 99 them. So like, as soon as they hit that 30k base, you're done. This deck is more defensive than it is offensive. That's its greatest weakness. So, guys, please check out our friends at TradingCardMint.com down below in the description. And we got new clan cards. Things look absolutely beautiful. Alright, I'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace out.